Hey guys, today I'm going to show you my 5 favorite blues guitar tones, either inspired by rock stars of the past or just tones that I've come across in my own guitar adventures. And I'm going to be using various different pedals from my collection, as well as a couple different guitars and an amp setup. I'm going to let you know each step of the way what exactly I'm using in case you want to match the gear that I have. An exploration of blues guitar tone, because I love blues and I love guitar and I love tone. It's a match made in heaven. There's no pedal sponsors or guitar sponsors or amp sponsors in this video, but there is a pedal board sponsor, which is what I'm going to be using to construct the ultimate blues guitar tone pedal board, the NUX Bumblebee. This pedal board comes in a small and large format, so check out the link down below. And it's a really nice pedal board because it has levels to it, so I can actually put my power supply underneath my second level of my guitar pedals. It uses these very special Velcro strips, so you know the pedals are not going anywhere. And if you know me, you know I like to be organized, especially when it comes to cables. This has a cable management system that installs under each little pedal rack. Keep your patch cables in order. That makes me very happy. Look at this. It's beautiful. Pedals are going nowhere at all. And look at that cable management. Oh, that is so nice. That's a pedal board right there, people.
Hey, does that pedal board come with a case?
Why yes, random beautiful girl. It in fact does come with a case.
Neat.
A beautiful carrying case, as well as a front pocket big enough for a 15-inch MacBook Pro. So thanks to NUX Effects for sending me the Bumblebee guitar pedal board. Check out the link down below if you want to get one for yourself. Now, let's get to the blues tones, shall we? We're gonna start simply with one of my favorite blues tones, and that is a single coil guitar into a Fender amp with a tiny bit of compression. I'm plugged into a Fender Princeton Reverb. Here's that sound. There's a little bit of reverb on the amp itself, and here is the compression. So there's a tiny bit of breakup. I have the amp pretty loud as far as the overall volume is concerned. I'm running into a Universal Audio aux, so that allows me to attenuate the decibel level and not blow my face apart. And this is just such a classic, clean blues sound. If you wanted a little bit less breakup, all you have to do is turn down the volume on the amp and it'll be a little bit more sparkly. An ideal guitar tone in general, not even just blues. You can use it for really any kind of clean atmosphere that you're trying to develop. And the single coils, obviously that would be the classic version. You can also use humbuckers with this sound. It would just be a little bit warmer and maybe thicker. I feel the single coil approach adds for a little bit more articulation and, you know, just more closely reveals your finger tone. So that is one of my favorite blues guitar sounds, or just guitar sounds in general. A nice clean single coil sound into a Fender amp with a compressor and a tiny bit of spring reverb. Moving on, we have two different styles of overdrive here. They're two different colors of gain, if you will. This is the Wallace Audio Voyager. It's a more modern take on overdrive. It's actually a preamp and overdrive. I'm using it as an overdrive right now. It just has a little bit more modern feel, a little bit more girth to it than the MXR modified overdrive, which is more of a treble happy vintage feel. So I'll go between the two of these and I'm going to turn off the reverb. So we're just using the pedal into the Fender amp. So those two different sounds of overdrive, real light, you know, I'm not really getting that much gain from either of these pedals because I am actually going to pop on the Empress Effects compressor with each of these, and I find a little bit of compression paired with overdrive is a real just nice saucy sound. So we'll start with the Voyager. Now with the modified overdrive. This is essentially the same effect. I'm using two different colors of overdrive, just depending on your taste, but the point is I'm having a compressor go into an overdrive sound that has a relatively low gain setting, and I just think this is not necessarily tied to one specific guitar player. I think a lot of different guitar players would enjoy this pedal setup where you have some compression rolling into an otherwise low gain sound, almost acting as a boost. So if you have a rhythm sound going on, you can see how that can really help you cut through if you're playing with a trio or a band of any kind. The compressor really balances out your guitar signal and also gives you a little boost that you may need to take a lead and can be very useful in that situation. So that is another ideal blues guitar sound, a real low gain overdrive setting with a boostable compression option. All right, moving along here to the Angry Driver, which is a collaboration pedal by Boss and JHS Pedals. This is actually a JHS Angry Charlie and a Blues Driver in one pedal. So it allows you to create various combinations of those two pedals. And really the iconic pedal in this collaboration is the Blues Driver by Boss, which came out in the early 90s. That's what this foundation is. So as you see, these three knobs are the ones that control the JHS portion of the pedal. Those are all off. So I'm just acting with these bottom three knobs, and this is set to the Boss setting. So we're just dialing in essentially a blues driver. So here's our clean sound. So that is the Blues Driver by itself, and the Blues Driver really became so popular because it came out in an era where grunge was sort of battling with blues. Pearl Jam was probably topping the charts. So there was a lot of kind of camaraderie around this pedal from guitar players and blues guitar players especially, and it became very useful to a lot of different guitar players, not only because obviously it's a great tone, but because it was a great price point and people found a lot of different uses for it. So one of the most iconic iterations of the Blues Driver was actually by Robert Keeley, which we'll get to one of his pedals in a moment. He modded the pedal and it became known as the Keeley mod, and basically this pedal works really well in tandem with other guitar pedals and sort of enhances other guitar pedal sounds, which is probably why this JHS Boss collaboration happened. JHS is obviously an awesome pedal company, so I find that the Blues Driver works best, or is one of my favorite guitar tones, when it is before another overdrive sound. So what I'll do is go from Boss into JHS. So this is the Blues Driver into an Angry Charlie, which is a little bit more higher gain overdrive / distortion pedal, and you'll see what that's able to do. And I'll just kind of put in my ideal settings here when these pedals are blended together, and here's what we get. Just a really nice sultry sound, and that's really what the Blues Driver, in my mind, it's what I think of, is a really full, thick, creamy sound, but not too modern. It's still got that vintage, round vibe to it. So that paired with an ES335. So if you had humbuckers on a solid body guitar, it might sound a little bit hotter, but with a guitar like this is just, again, one of my ideal blues guitar sounds, a semi-hollow or a hollow body into a Blues Driver, into another overdrive sound. Just heavenly, wouldn't you say? Moving on to the next blues tone, we are going to get into these two pedals here, the Danelectro Eisenhower Fuzz and the Monterey by Keeley. And these are both fuzz sounds, but they do different things. So usually I like to have fuzz by itself, no compressor or overdrive or anything, just the fuzz. If it's a good fuzz, it will not need anything else, and maybe other effects could kind of convolute the signal and make it not as effective. So I love this Danelectro fuzz for this Octavia style thing that it does, and there's a difference between an Octavia sound and just more of a straight ahead fuzz. So this is the Octavia sound that is really activated in the higher registers. So as you can hear, it's got a real gnarly bite to it, and with the fuzz dialed back, it just makes you play a certain way, and I just love this for bluesy, pentatonic driven stuff, and it really is a little bit effortless almost with this sound because it's so smooth and legato-esque. So that is that kind of fuzz, and there's also a more traditional sounding fuzz. So it's still kind of the same vibe, but a different feeling altogether. And I mentioned vibe. This pedal is really neat because it has 3 different modulation effects built into this left half of the stomp. So you can do a wah, a vibe, or a rotary. And this is absolutely one of my favorite fuzz blues sounds. And you may recognize that. So obviously, the Star Spangled Banner from Hendrix's Woodstock performance, an iconic sound right there, and I think that might have been what inspired the build on this pedal, if I'm not mistaken. And that is absolutely one of my favorite blues sounds. I'm using lipstick pickups from a Danelectro 84, and it's tuned down to E flat. So that's not necessarily a sound per se, but you know what? Actually it is. Tuning can make a difference in tone, if nothing else by the way you perceive the sounds. All right, finally we come to these last 2 pedals in the row, and these are actually different sounds, but I'm grouping them in the same category just because I do think my favorite sound to pair with these, or my favorite pickups to pair with this sound, is indeed humbuckers. The 68 Deluxe from Lawrence Petros design is kind of modeling a plexi, like a late 60s plexi sound. So the Marshall valve amps are iconic, and plexi actually just means the material that the amp face is made out of. There's a lot of different iterations of recorded plexis, but you can think of artists like Pete Townsend from The Who, Jimi Hendrix, or Eric Clapton when he was in Cream, using plexis. So this is my clean sound. And we have this first dial, and we have the green setting. There's a high gain and a low gain, but this is the plexi, if you will. Go a little high gain, punch in a little reverb there. So that is a really, really accurate representation of an old plexi. Maybe just all the best parts of it, all plexi, no fizz, if you will. So that's a really cool sound as far as blues goes. And then taking it one step further, the Pinnacle Deluxe from Wampler. This is like a really, really, almost blurring the line between blues and rock. This is about as high gain of a blues sound as I would go. But with that said, I absolutely love high gain blues. That is when you just want to rip, you know, it's like an amp on 11. It's just so much fun to play. And with a little bit extra, it has even more, a boost. All right, as you can hear, plenty of headroom in that pedal, and the reason I think it fits into the blues realm is because of this vintage switch. So it can get really modern and high gain sounding, but this switch really just is like the blues rock sweet spot for me. And the boost has an option to actually just be a boost is in the decibel level, or add more gain, which is what I opted for. You can add more gain. The volume is maxed out. This is my just preferred setup. I like a little bit more mid-range and a little bit less treble when I am dialing in this particular tone. And obviously the humbuckers add to the overall girth of the actual wall of sound. So those are my favorite blues guitar tones. There are many different ways to achieve those sounds, but hopefully the historical context that I alluded to with some of the sounds will send you in the right direction if you are searching for different guitar slash amp slash pedal setups. I recommend all these pedals. These are all great builders, and there are more still out there that you can kind of swap in and out to achieve these sounds. But the most important thing is to just have fun, because blues is just, oh, it's healing. And we all need to be healed one way or another. So thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, keep shredding.